Should I do my intro? Okay. So good morning. No, is it good afternoon? I don't know. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Barely Filtered with Aurora and Sofa Cushion. Sophie Coco. She is here today guesting. She likes to call it co-hosting, but I like to call it guesting. I don't want her to feel too comfortable. Anyway, we're going to have fun today. We're going to listen to some voicemails that people sent in about breakup stories and then talk about some of the best coping skills and lessons that we've learned for like the easiest ways to get over a breakup and kind of work through those emotions and reprogramming your brain and all the things that you have to do in order to be free of pretty much a toxic addiction. And speaking of toxic addictions, I wanted to talk about the thing that I am the most proud of this entire year. Honestly, I'm the most proud of this thing that I'm going to tell you. Like, probably I'm more proud of this than, okay, I can't say my kids because then I'll go to hell, but like, I'm really proud of this thing. And it is quitting vaping. Like, when I have a bad day now, I'm like, but I quit vaping. So like, I'm like, I'm a superhero. Like, I feel so proud of myself because I know how hard it was. Like, that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And I'm going to start at the beginning because if you know anybody who vapes, and believe me, it's not the people you think. Nobody knew I vaped. It's the sneakiest habit that you can have because you can do it anywhere. You can do it in an airplane bathroom. You're not supposed to.
That is against federal regulation.
Not me, just somebody I have heard that people have done that.
I would be so paranoid that I would be that person that sets the plane smoke alarm off if there is one.
No, when you're in the grips of addiction, you're willing to take that risk. You really are. I picked it up when I was like 33 years old. I never had been addicted to nicotine in any form in my entire life. And it was after my divorce and I was looking for something to take the edge off. And I don't like weed. And I don't know, like, honestly, I should have just like gone for a run or meditated or do any of the healthy tools that I do know work for me. But sometimes the easiest thing is just when we feel weak, we reach for the easiest option. And this was one of the worst mistakes I ever made. Although it might have been a blessing now that I've gained a tremendous amount of confidence from being able to kick it. But so I picked it up and at first you don't like it. Like at first it kind of makes you feel dizzy and a little sick. But like if you keep going back to it, which for some reason I did, I think it's because a lot of my friends, like when we would go to like fashion week or like, I don't know, a bachelorette or go to an event, like somebody has one and you're always like kind of just taking a hit of somebody's and you're like, do I like this thing yet? No, not really. Then you eventually can't live without it. And when you get to that point where your brain chemistry literally switches, where you need this synthetic chemical to have your brain produce dopamine and serotonin to feel good, you realize that you're trapped. And I got to a point where I was like waking up in the middle of the night to go pee and like needing to hit this vape because I felt anxious without this chemical. I felt anxious because I was having withdrawals from these happy hormones that I got through the vape. And the anxiety came from the withdrawal that the vape created. When you take a hit of this chemical, your brain floods with hormones. And then naturally, your brain decides, okay, well, I don't need to make these on my own because this chemical is initiating the release of these hormones. So then you go through a withdrawal because your brain isn't producing those chemicals on its own anymore and you get anxiety. The only way to satiate is to take another hit of this drug that then gives your brain the boost to make the chemicals again. So you find yourself in this cycle of really needing a chemical to just feel good. And that's the thing that's so crazy about it is that like, we're not taking a hit of this vape to feel high. We're taking a hit of it because we want to feel okay. Because there's this like uneasiness that was created by the vape in the first place. And I was feeling like I was such a slave to it. And I knew that I needed to quit. I knew that I wanted to quit. And I attempted to. I would put it in the trash and I would go fish it out later. I would put it in a glass of water. So because I was like, it needs to be broken. Otherwise I'm going to use it again. Put it in a glass of water. And then I'd go drive to the store and get it. And then I was like, you feel like a crackhead. I think that's the hardest part with it is like the self-esteem issues, that you realize how out of control you are. You realize how you're a slave to something and how little self-control we really have. But the thing is, when your brain chemistry gets altered in that way, like you don't have a choice. It takes tremendous amount of strength to get over something like that, because you need to know that you're going to feel absolutely horrible because you're going to go through withdrawals and you're going to feel uneasy, you're going to feel anxious, you're going to feel moody. So I tried to quit, I think 10 times. And then I went and I got a brain scan by Dr. Amen. And we looked at my brain, and like the surface of my brain was bumpy. And that's directly related to vaping because it creates inflammation in your brain. So you can actually physically see like how this is altering somebody's brain. And with that can cause things like early Alzheimer's, dementia, like really serious brain problems, because not only, I think people associate vaping with like your lungs. It's your brain. It's also your lungs and your heart, but it's your brain that you see a lot of these symptoms coming from, especially if you're using it in the long term. And I think kids these days are like, they're like these vibrant colors and they have these like gross flavors, and it's like the cool thing to have. And it's so scary because these kids are addicted to nicotine the way that someone else is addicted to crack or heroin. It's the exact same thing. You need it to feel okay because you're left depleted from the initial hit that you had taken. So how did I quit? I tried about 10 times. There's like 5% of your brain that's super loud that's like, I need to quit. This is bad. I'm 33 years old with 2 kids and I shouldn't be vaping and I want to be healthy and I don't want to be a slave to a drug. And then there's 95% of your brain that's like, oh, but it makes me feel good. It's not the right time. Like 95% of your subconscious thinks that there's some benefit that you're getting to it still. So you need to train your entire brain to find zero benefit from this drug. So I listened to this book called The Easy Way to Quit Smoking by Alan Carr. And that's exactly what he does. He basically like hypnotizes you by training your subconscious to not find any benefit from this drug, to not feel in any way like it's cool, it's helpful. A lot of people, like, you don't admit it, but like you still think that like you're getting something from it, like it's helping you in some way. So once you get over that and every cell in your body knows that you don't like this drug and you want to quit, that's when you can start. But the symptoms still are so overwhelming that wasn't enough for me, because it took like 10 more attempts where I asked my doctor, I was like, okay, is there anything that will help me curb the physical and mental like anguish that is nicotine withdrawal? And he prescribed me Wellbutrin. And Wellbutrin is a drug that's used sometimes for depression and anxiety, but it also helps to appease some of those symptoms from nicotine withdrawal. And I waited about 2 weeks after I took it, and then I tried to quit again. I put it down. I probably drowned it, and I never picked it up again. And like the amount of mental energy that was like a year and a half of me just like obsessing about like, where can I get it? When can I smoke? When should I quit? I need to quit now. I'm going to be sick. I'm going to like the amount of energy that vaping took up in my life, to be able to be on the other side of that. I'm telling you, there is nothing that could go wrong that would not make me still just be so happy and so proud of myself. That's better than any one-hit wonder will ever give you. So if you or someone you know wants to quit vaping, which you absolutely should because it's terrible for you, I would suggest reading that book by Alan Carr, listening to it actually, because that helps you like really program it. And it's called The Easy Way to Quit Smoking. And ask your doctor about Wellbutrin. It worked for me, but of course I'm not a doctor. And then you just got to know that like it's going to take about a month. So the first week is the worst. There was like 3 days where I was like deeply depressed, and I knew, like, you can just tell in your body, like the chemistry is so off. I did gain weight. I gained like 15 pounds. Most people do when they stop nicotine. You lose it, within, I think they say like most people do gain weight. And then after about a year, you'll be back to your normal weight. And it's taken me a while to get adjusted to not relying on nicotine. Nicotine is like a super powerful drug and it's not treated that way. And I know a lot of people who quit vaping and then still do like dibs or something. I don't know. A lot of men do that.
Dabs?
No, it's like the thing they put under their lip.
Oh, yeah, like the Zins.
Zins, yeah. Any kind of like nicotine alternative is still nicotine. It doesn't matter where you're getting. It doesn't matter. I did the patch for a while. It's still the same form. And the patch is made by the nicotine company and it supplies you with a way higher dose than you would get from just hitting your pen. So it actually makes you more addicted to nicotine. Most people who use any kind of patch, it doesn't ultimately, they end up going back to smoking. You just got to cold turkey, no nicotine, deal with the symptoms. They're going to suck, plan your calendar around it. And then after about a month, you probably gain some weight, but you're pretty much free by then. And if you're like me, you'll be so proud of yourself that you will just be riding that high for a very long time. Moving right along, that's enough about vaping. I have a guest here today. She's never vaped before. Have you?
No, I don't like it. Like it kills the back of my throat.
I know.
I've done it like out before where like a friend had, like you said, like a friend has one and you try it and you're like, oh, this sucks. And you'll get dizzy. No, I get like, like I can't. Like I can't stand straight.
Really?
It's a blessing.
Yeah. Well, you're lucky. And don't keep taking hits because that's how it starts.
I know. I'm a fraidy cat. Like I just think of my lungs like melting and I can't do it. Anyway, speaking of lungs melting, let's talk about bad breakups.
And I want to be very honest with this. I didn't really want to talk about bad breakups because I'm a little nervous about pinning us as like the bad breakup girls.
I know,
it's not good. That's not really a good look. This is not about our bad breakups. The goal of this is to hear some stories of other people's bad breakups so that everybody can relate. And then we can talk about what are some tips to getting over that. Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody has been through a bad breakup. If you haven't, you might in the future. And you are going to want to know these tools.
Remember when I was like, I'd never had my heart broken and they were like, you need to. It will make you grow. And I was like, sorry, everybody loves me.
Yeah, no, I know.
Then I got shit handed to me on a silver platter. And I was like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Not all of these are necessarily about like bad breakups. Some of them are just like typical relationship questions. But this one is boyfriends being friends with exes. Let's broaden that to just being friends with exes. What are your thoughts? I feel like this is very icky. I know that I might bite my tongue, might regret saying this because not everybody's going to agree with me. I do think there is a world where you can be friends with an ex, but I also understand why it's tricky. And you need to be with somebody who's very communicative in order to make that work. But I really disagree with people that are just so adamant that like, if you're talking to an ex, you're in love with them. Like you're not over them. It's like, if I'm the one that ended the relationship, please tell me how I'm still obsessed with it. Like, how do I want to be with this person if I actively left the relationship? No, I just don't hate them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I just think the more I learn, the more situations I personally experience and the more I hear about other people's experiences, the more I realize there is just no hard and fast rule. Every situation is so different. You know, I've dated people who are friends with their exes. I've dated people who hate their exes. And I almost feel like vehemently hating your ex
is worse.
Because
there's still feelings there.
Yeah.
I totally
hate is
agree.
a stronger like emotion and connection than, and they're on, you know, they have more of an impact on your brain and your heart than if you like somebody.
Yeah, but
wait, I need to see your chart for a second because I think I want to see what your descendant is. If it's
you mean my rising?
No, your descendant.
Oh, I think my descending is Capricorn.
Because
Pretty
I want to
positive.
see who your person that like the person that you should be with. Hold, please.
No, but okay, so I've dated someone who had very pleasant things to say about his exes, not like in a sense that he was still like obsessed with them or like into them, but just it was my first experience dating somebody where I was like, wait, it's actually kind of nice to be with someone that is talking kindly and respectfully about an ex. Nothing is worse than when you're dating somebody who's like, my ex is crazy. Really? Like, is she? I never believe a guy when they say that. If you say your ex is crazy, like red flag. Not saying that exes can't be crazy, but like, I think it's more of a red flag to speak as such.
Yeah. No, it's believe me, I know this area very well. You get to know it pretty well when you have 2 kids with an ex and you have to talk to them multiple times every single day. And like every conversation that I have with a guy that I might potentially date, it always comes up like, how's your relationship with your ex? Because this is somebody who I'm tied to for the rest of my life. Okay. So this is a person who, I mean, you gotta have love for somebody that you made children with.
Yeah.
And
it's like a whole different ballpark too.
Yeah, but crazy, like would I call him crazy?
You don't have to like, believe me, we all have exes where you don't want to say kind things about them.
Yeah.
And like if they did you wrong, you don't have to. But I think and it honestly typically goes more towards guys when they're like, my ex is crazy. More often than not, they weren't crazy and you did something wrong and you don't want to take ownership of it.
No, I mean, but every situation's so different. You don't know about that. Like, what if the ex like burned the cat and the house down? Like, I mean, you want them to be like, no, it was on you. Like, some exes really be crazy.
Some exes are crazy. I'm not saying that's not true. To bring it back to the point is like, I do think you can have a good relationship with an ex.
I think your partner can have a good relationship with their ex. And if there is some kind of sexual bond or tie to them still, then that's going to show up at some point in either that expression or a different way. But like if they don't, if they want to have sex with their ex, then it's going to come out. Here's my last and final thought on this. Anytime you're trying to control or strong arm or manipulate a situation, let's say 2 people in a relationship, you want to control who your ex associates with, other exes and friends. There's like a struggle there, and that dynamic just never works.
It never works. And as someone who, I have 2 exes that are like tied to our family. They're not going anywhere. And I know you know who I'm talking about.
I don't. He wasn't an ex. He was like a...
Exactly, which sometimes makes it worse.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Because it was never actualized.
Like, guys hate that. It's even worse because they feel like, I don't know, it's just worse. And it's always been an issue in relationships because, like, I need to convince this person, like, that there's nothing there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so frustrating when, like, there really isn't anything there. It's just a really difficult situation. So for me, when I read this, like, being friends with an ex, I think you should allow your partner to have respect between an ex if they can't avoid seeing them. But also, if your boyfriend is like hanging out with his ex over you, yeah, I probably wouldn't like that.
I probably wouldn't like that either. I think you just have to really like tune in and realize, like, are these emotions coming from a place of insecurity or like distrust, or do I feel disrespected? Because you don't want to feel disrespected. You obviously want to feel like the priority.
Yes.
But if you don't trust or know your partner well enough and think that maybe they'll do something bad if they happen to be in the same vicinity as them or something, like, that's a bigger issue.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I also think insecurity can breed resentment. So it really needs to be like open forms of communication and telling someone they can't speak to this person if they've given you no reason to actually like have a trust issue or be insecure. That can cause a problem because then you're making this person feel bad about themselves when they haven't actually done anything to deserve that.
Right. And it's going to come back and bite you because they are not going to want to be with you because you're annoying.
You're not wrong. Okay, moving on. Someone goes, "Can we hear your wedding speech?"
Oh.
You can hear my wedding speech.
Oh, because I said I was going to redo it.
What?
I said
I was going to invite everybody back?
No, I said I was going to redo my wedding speech because you guys know I told you before that I wasn't prepared. I didn't prepare anything. I really overshot my ability to like do something off the cuff. And I will forever regret that. But she's forgiven me. I apologize to her. And, she did actually have a horrible speech for my wedding too. She will get to redo it someday and I won't. Because her and Christian are going to stay together forever. Because they're both very stubborn.
You said that in the speech.
No, I'm just kidding.
She said that in her speech, and there was an audible moan in the crowd. And I was like, in Bridesmaids, where they're both doing their bridesmaid speeches, and she's like, "Lillian, She just like gives her a stare, and she's like, it goes into speaking Spanish, and then she starts singing a song, and like that honestly was like me and Aurora's bridesmaid speech.
Yeah.
And I was
Sophie's
Helen.
was good.
I was Helen.
Yeah, Sophie's was good, but it was like, you're such a good big sister. I have such big shoes to follow, blah, blah, blah. You guys, and it was
as
like boring.
a wedding speech should be.
Yeah, it was boring, but yeah, mine was not as good. But I did say that I was going to attempt to redo it. I'll attempt to redo it right now. Okay,
What?
I'm going to make it like Max's. You know how Max's had the setup? He was like, people always ask me, like, did I think Christian would make it in the NFL? And I'm like, hell fucking yeah, I did. He could run like super fast. Or I don't know if that's the way he started. So I'm going to start
I feel
mine the
like
same way.
if we're going to redo your speech, you should maybe think on it, because you're about to do the same thing that you tried to do a month ago.
Okay, but I'll just try the beginning. People always ask me, did I think Olivia would be
This is your Roman Empire.
a fashion icon and the epitome of just beauty and grace? And I would say absolutely not. I did not think that was going to happen. The girl was born like we weren't sure if she was beast or mammal or human. She was so hairy, and she
This is what you did on stage. This is the same speech.
But with that came the humility of the woman that she is today, because everybody who starts low and gets somewhere from hard work, dedication, a little bit of luck, whatever, they have a greater ability to connect with others. And that is exactly what she has.
Shannon,
And
no,
she is very smart. Olivia's like one of those people who like, she
That's
picks a
what
goal,
friends
she
are
puts her head down, and she just works towards the goal. And she manifests it. She writes it in her journal. Like, she's an adamant journaler. She's an adamant manifester. And when she is working on something, nothing will budge her. Nothing will get in her way. So everything that she's created has come from super hard work and diligence. And I feel like her and Christian share that in common, and like water seeks its own level. I will tell a story. One time we were driving down the street, me, Olivia, and Sophie were in a car, and we saw that this bakery had closed. And the bakery was like, oh man, we grew up going to this place. I've never found a cinnamon roll that's as good. And they had closed. And Olivia looks at it and goes, oh my God, do you see Collier's Bakery close? And they've been open, established in 1394. I looked at her and I was like,
you dumb bitch.
1394? You think that's when they opened? And she's like, this says right there. Look at the numbers on the door. And I'm like, Olivia, think about that year. Columbus hadn't even sailed the ocean blue yet. And you think these people are over here rolling cinnamon rolls? And so she's very smart, but not always the most smart.
But you know what? If she needed to,
It was
if
like
she
the door
needed
number.
to put in her GPS the address for Collier's Bakery, she knows that by heart.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's closed. It's not there.
She might not.
Anyway, I don't have an end to the speech yet. I guess I'll keep writing.
You keep trying.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, moving on. How do you help your ex heal? They self-sabotage the relationship because of past trauma. You can't.
You don't. That is one of the hardest lessons, but also so freeing once you really realize it, because it's not on you. It's not your problem. And when you think about it, are you really doing it for him, or are you doing it because you want to be with him?
Yeah.
I think if you realize whether the intentions are selfish, I'm sure you love him and you want to help him.
Of course. I dated someone who really struggled with substances when I was younger, and unfortunately led to him blacking out and cheating on me and not remembering it. And
that wasn't his fault if he was blacked out. I'm kidding.
No,
totally
but
kidding.
that was some of the lines that I would
kidding.
fall for.
Yeah.
And it was just a situation where he really wasn't well, and I loved him. I wanted to help him, and he ended up having epilepsy from this. And then how do you leave somebody who's really not doing well? But again, I wasn't being respected, and it doesn't matter if it was his intention to hurt me or not. You need to respect yourself, and you have to let them heal on their own, because that is not yours to solve. And it's really hard. It's simply just unfortunate. When relationships end because it's just it's not for a lack of love, that's just sad. But that's something that you really need to just accept and move forward, and pray for them, or whatever it is that you do. Wish them well, and that's really all you can do.
Yeah, that is one of the hardest things to do, is to close a door to something where you feel like if a few variables were different, it could have been amazing. But the thing is, it's not up to you to change someone else's behavior. And
self-sabotage is really, really hard to kind of grow out of. You need time to do that. And I don't know how old you are. 92, actually. So if you were born in 92.
I was like, she's 92. I thought you said she's 92 years old. I'm like, okay, you get it, girl.
His account, it says like the year that he was born. So, you know, if you want to be married soon, because what, if 92, that's when Olivia was born. He's 30. How old's Olivia?
31, but he doesn't, marriage doesn't.
No, well, I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know what this man's desires are, but like.
Why do you know it's a man?
Because I can see his page.
Oh. Yeah. Anyway, short answer, you can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you let your guard down in a new relationship after breakup? Whew, that's really hard. It's still really hard for me, actually. I think what you really need to work on is being self-aware and noticing, like, are you projecting onto a situation? Are you operating out of fear? For me, like, trust was really hard in the beginning, just to trust that, like, you love me for me, that you're not using me for something, that you're not cheating on me. Like, those are all valid things for me to feel. And I was very lucky that I'm dating someone older. So I think that helped, because he's been through, you know, relationships. He's gone through similar experiences, and having someone allow me to feel my insecurities without making me feel crazy for feeling them is kind of a must. I think you really need to have open communication with your partner, and you also need to be with a very empathetic partner who can help you heal, because the whole notion you need to heal alone, I strongly disagree with. I think you can heal alone, but I know for me, my boyfriend helped me heal so much by like just letting me talk and letting me feel my things, and also experience something new and something safe and be able to compare and contrast.
Interesting. Because I feel like that kind of goes against what we had Danny Morell on the other day. And I've been realizing too that I don't want to attract somebody from a place of like not being healed yet, you know? Like I feel like
but you're never fully healed.
That's true too. I guess you're never fully healed. You're healed and you're always working on things. I think for me, like what I've realized though is I don't think I gave myself enough time after my divorce. And then I kind of was just like dating one guy after the next, not really realizing that like I actually don't think I want to be in a relationship. I think, like I was saying with the vaping thing, like the 5% of my brain that's like, you got to find somebody, you need a blended family, you need a golden retriever, you need to get a house, you need to do the whole thing. And then the other like 95% of my brain and my subconscious and everything that's guiding my behaviors and like who I'm choosing, I think is like, I don't want to be in a relationship. Like I have other things that I need to do right now that's not with somebody else. I personally think I do need to heal alone, but I don't think everybody needs to heal alone.
I think there are certain elements of healing that require you being alone. But I also think like, why are we just assuming that like if you're in a relationship, you're never alone? Like you can do things on your own. Like you don't have to be with your partner 24/7. Like,
that's true.
Like I'm like, come to think of it, I actually do spend a lot of time by myself. Like he works during the day. Like I'm not with him all the time. I go to therapy alone. You know what I mean?
I
like,
know, but it's somebody else to consider.
Well, and I do think that is what like when
and to
I
like make your plans around and everything. I think it's different because I have kids. Like,
yeah, that is very
too
different.
many variables.
But when I got out of my last relationship, I was like, I'm gonna be single. I did not want to be in a relationship. I really did not want to. And then I ended up meeting somebody that I was like, crap. Like I really like you. And like, you know when you meet somebody and you just like, you have a connection. It's just there. And it's like undeniable. And like, I wanted to be single too. Like I would just come out of a long-term relationship. Like I wanted to be dating. I wanted to be having fun. Then I realized I actually don't thrive in those situations. Like,
what?
Just, I don't like seeing multiple people. Like, sure, it's fun for a little bit, but
no, it makes me so uncomfortable.
I feel like I'm lying to you. If we're not exclusive and I went on a date with you on Tuesday and I'm out with another guy on Saturday, I'm not doing anything wrong, but like, it just doesn't feel good to me.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Maybe that's something I need to work on.
Yeah, because you don't need to apologize. You don't owe anybody anything, and you don't need to apologize to anybody. You're dating. That is something I
do need to work on.
But I also feel that way too. I think it's just we just want everybody to be happy with us. And
also for me, like, I don't think I can have genuine connections with like multiple people at the same time.
I wonder if we can, and we just haven't allowed ourselves to.
I wonder. This is a good question. We need somebody here that's like really good at dating multiple people.
My friend Christine, who's a dating coach, and she actually was on the show too, who I talk to a lot just because she's helped me realize like exactly what it is that I want, and that maybe I actually just don't want anybody right now, and that I'm kind of like self-sabotaging my relationships because I don't want to be in them. But one of the things she says,
I've done that,
is like, you are allowed to date as many people as you want. And when somebody asks you, like, are you dating other people? She says that what you should say to them is, do you really want to know that answer? Like, you shouldn't ask them, are you dating other people? Because we don't want to know that answer. We can just assume that they are and leave it at that.
Yeah.
But then if we get a, yes, I am dating other people from them, then you get curious. You end this jealousy.
I got myself into a situation when I was single and I was dating a few people, and someone hit me with, well, I haven't been seeing anybody else. Have you? And I was like,
that's an unfair question. They shouldn't be asking that.
I didn't know we weren't. Like, I didn't know that we weren't.
No, you could say, well, do you really want to know the answer to that? I mean, I feel that at this point, you're just kind of, it's a no-win situation.
Yeah.
But it's unfair you should be able to be dating multiple people, because I do think at a certain point, the more people you date, the more likely you're going to find somebody that you do connect with.
And that's exactly what happened with me. I was dating Phoebe, and then I met Michael, and I realized I was like, okay, this is just like a connection that I don't have with these other people. And like, then the other connections just felt, like I'm wasting my time. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. I went out on 2 dates lately. One guy I like hit it off with, and then this other guy, the minute I sat down, I can't believe I forgot to bring this up. He brings up Olivia. I didn't even know that he knew who I was. I'm like, that is like the number one rule. Like, you don't bring up my sister who you know.
At least he brought it up.
He was like, I sent your sister some swag because like he has like a weed company, which, by the way, why is it that like all of the like high school drug dealers are now these businessmen and have weed companies? I feel, and I'm dating all of them. Like, I feel like I've gone out with,
even like weed.
I've gone out with 2 guys that are like in the weed business, and they just smoke a lot of weed and they smell like weed. And I'm like, I don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that. I mean, no offense to those, you just don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. But I've literally, when I was in college, this guy hit on me at a bar. This was the creepiest situation I've ever been in. Hit on me in a bar. I was with my girlfriend. He was like, do you want to go back to my place? And I was like, not alone. So me, his friends, my friends all went back to his place. Nothing happened. We were like playing games, whatever. Everybody was normal. We played karaoke. It was actually pretty fun. Get home, go back with my girlfriends back to our apartment. My roommate, Lauren, I know you're going to watch this. You remember this. She stalks these guys because they're like, why wouldn't you? His profile picture was Olivia.
Oh, wait, this was somebody that you went on a date with?
Not on a date. We were just out at a bar. He like came, normal guy, like looked cute, like never mentioned Olivia, pretended he didn't know who I was.
Oh, his profile picture was Olivia?
Her.
Yeah.
Literally
so
her.
So weird.
And I was like, I could have just been kidnapped and held for ransom for my sister.
No, I know. They're weird. And the guy who I went out with, who brought up Olivia right away, also lied to me about where he lived, because he said that, because he lives in New York, and he said that if I thought that he lived far away, like he wanted to make sure like we still got to meet.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That to me, you know what? He used you for a business connection. I hate people like that.
Do you think he used me for a business connection?
Yes,
maybe.
Because he knows that you wouldn't date him long term, so he's clearly not trying to date you.
No, I know. Well, that's what he said. When we left, he was like, I'd like to see you again. And I was like, honestly, you live in New York. Like, I don't think...
he knows you have kids.
Listen to what he said. No, he knows that I have kids.
Exactly. So why would you get in a long-term relationship?
Well, listen to what he said. I said, I know you live in New York. You know, I don't think this is going to work. And he said, I asked to see you again. I didn't ask to marry you. He said, and you have kids. What does me having kids have to do with, like, the fact that he equated my answer with, but you have kids? And then he was like, I'm not trying to marry you. I asked to see you again.
That is highly...
And then I said, well, I'm not trying to date just to date. And then he didn't answer me.
Of course he didn't, because he's a ghoster, because he's like...
I could just tell there's just zero integrity there. And you have kids. Like, as if me having kids somehow puts me in like the not serious category.
No. What he just did, your deal breaker was him being long distance. So, but he just said to you his deal breaker was, but you have kids.
I know.
Don't call her kids a deal breaker. Can we out this man? Who are you? Like, no. Oh, unfortunately, dating in LA, so many people are just strategic and will use you for who you know, what you can do for their career. And you don't have to just be in LA to be this type of person. We need to stop attracting. Well, I'm
not dating anybody right now.
Yeah,
I felt icky after that one because I like the fact that he was like, and you have kids. So what? I was just trying to see you. I'm not trying to marry you. It's like, well, what's the point of dating then if we're not like trying to?
The point of dating was getting your sister his weed merch. Ooh, this one was a good one. Help. I just got broken up with. How do I move forward and not rot in bed all day?
Oh, okay. Listen, you need to go on Amazon right now and you need to type in A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. You're going to read that book.
Yeah. Anybody that's gone through a breakup, like my sisters passed that book down to me. Like you pass it to Erica. Like everybody in our friend group, if they're going through a breakup, we say read that book.
Yeah, it's such a good book because it really shows you just how to return to yourself because ultimately it doesn't matter. Like the breakup was meant to happen and you feeling this pain around it is so natural. It's actually such a wonderful opportunity because when you're in those low moments is like there's so much creativity to be found there and there's so much learning about yourself that you can do.
And as it's sad that there's something that ended, it is a beginning. And I know it's hard to like get to the point where you feel like you're even in a beginning phase because you're just sad and you obviously don't want to move on right away. You shouldn't move on right away. Like you have like healing to do, but it is a beginning and that is exciting. And just knowing that like you will get to a point where you will feel that excitement of like just a new chapter. And there are definitely things you can do to get there faster.
Yeah.
And like the end of this question was like, how do I not sit in bed and rot all day?
Well, one thing you absolutely need to do is make sure that you are not seeing anything that reminds you of that person.
Absolutely.
You need to cut that off because you'll just go down a rabbit hole, like distracting golden yourself.
Rule, you cannot go on your ex's page. You cannot, if they have a significant other or someone, you cannot go on that person's page. And if you have mutual friends where maybe they're going to pop up in a photo, mute those friends. Like I muted every single connection. I have not gone on any ex's page since the day that I unfollowed them.
Oh, really? But I do. The thing is, it's like once you get past that relationship with something, which takes, a long time sometimes, your relationship with it changes. It doesn't trigger you in the same way. You know?
I think there's absolutely no need to be going back. And like, I'm just not a stalker. Like, I don't want to know, like, if we're done, we're done. I don't need to see anything about you.
Yeah, I guess not.
I don't want to.
I don't know. I mean, it's just different if it's like a divorce or something.
Okay, but think about like when you had your breakup from like that was really painful for you. That was a really toxic relationship. Like number one rule is do not look.
No, that's so true. And this is somebody who it probably took like 10 years to like really be okay. I feel neutral about him at this point.
Yeah.
Where like if I saw him here making out with his wife, I'd be like, cool. Like, go get it, guys.
In order to get to that phase, because like, I mean, I get asked this all the time, like, how did I move? Like, how do I get over something that was so public? There are so many settings. You can block hashtags. You can, if something comes up on an Explore page, like, hold it down. Not interested. Hold it down. Don't like this creator. Like, you can just set so many boundaries. You don't have to block anybody. Like, I personally, like, I don't like blocking people. I feel like that, I don't know.
It's the same thing we talked about before of like hate almost feels like you care more than if you like them.
I don't need to block you, but like at the same time, I'm going to protect my peace. And one of my favorite mantras since I've been like in middle school, this is like my middle school computer background, was create your own reality. Like you can create a world where like you don't have triggers. You don't have to see somebody that you don't want to see. And like it will make you so much happier. And it helps you get to a point where you're like, this is my life now. You're no longer in it. And I'm happy.
Yeah. And honestly, I do kind of think there's something to like a way to get over one man is to get under another. Like,
for sure.
I mean, sometimes it makes it worse because then you like go out with somebody you don't connect and you're like, oh, my connect. It kind of like shows just how strong your connection was with the other person by comparison. Strong, However, you just got to distract yourself with things that are fun.
Yeah. You've got to absolutely get any type of reminder out of your mind. Social media, set it up so that nothing ever comes on your page. And believe me, if I can do it, you can do it. And then have fun.
Have fun. Don't drink too much. Like, don't do things that are going to make it worse for you ultimately. Keep your peace and keep yourself as happy as possible by doing things that are good for you. Being with other people, being in a community, not isolating yourself. just having somebody else hold you accountable to that so that you have somebody who's like, all right, time to get out of bed because you gotta
and
do
also
that.
tell your friends. I know it's really hard sometimes when you go through a breakup and like the friend was connected to other friends, or if they're in like your work industry, whatever it is, like tell people, I don't want to know anything. I don't want to see anything. Don't bring them up. Done. Like this person's dead to us. And that's really important because I think sometimes friends can mean well.
Or
if they
parents. Like I've actually learned like I can't talk to my dad about any relationship ever. He triggers me in the worst way.
Yeah.
And he'll still bring up like exes. Like, oh, what's that person doing now? Like, oh, you think you guys can maybe give it a shot again? I'm like, he like was horrible. Like, why would I ever do that?
I know. No, you've really got to like set the boundaries with other people too and just let anybody know like this isn't good for me. I don't want to know. And then that really helps you move on. Like when I say create your own reality, like you need to create a new world where this person does not exist.
Yeah. Let's do voicemails.
Hello, my question is how do you know when you're ready to like officially move on and let go? Especially when you live under the same roof with the father of your child. Like I want to know because I'm currently in that situation. I'm about to turn 30 and I've been living with this person for 3 years. It hasn't been the best. It has been an emotional roller coaster. But for me, from my experience, everything I've dealt with, from dealing with postpartum depression, from going through a whole pregnancy by myself, from being yelled at, being cheated on, being lied to, I just want to know what is your best advice? Like, what can I do, you know?
So, first of all, I feel for you 1,000,000%. And I know how hard that is to feel trapped and to feel like you're not able to start your new life because you have so many ties to the old one. And, you know, the elephant in the room is that financially it's really hard for people to live separately, even if they want to. So I think starting the planning process of how you are going to be able to live apart, starting to think about how can you independently afford to live, or even consider getting a roommate that's trustworthy that you can live with your child, because right now it sounds like your ex is your roommate, probably fine for financial reasons, because I can't understand why anybody else would live in that situation. If you're being cheated on and yelled at, there's no reason to stay. Finances should not be a reason to stay. So I say try to figure out how to find a roommate that you can live with and try to get out of there as soon as possible by planning what you're going to do and figuring out how you're going to live apart. But I also would say that the first question that you asked was, how do you know when you're ready? And the thing is, you need to act before you're ready, because emotionally it's going to take time to heal and not everything's going to make sense. But you can know with 100% certainty that if you're being disrespected, if you're being yelled at, if you're being cheated on, you are ready.
Yes.
You might not feel ready, but you are ready.
And based off of what you've said about being cheated on, lied to, and going through a pregnancy alone, like this is a toxic relationship. And when you're trying to leave a toxic relationship or thinking about it, know that there's going to be memories that come up, and it's called euphoric recall, where you think of the good memories when things are good. And that's a reason why you should stay. Those are not reasons to stay. You should leave, because you shouldn't even be putting yourself in a situation where you're weighing good memories versus bad memories, especially if they're toxic memories and memories that are not only going to affect you, but there's a child in this situation. So to just remind yourself to stay strong in your decision, and that if you have these memories that come up that kind of confuse you, you've just got to push them aside and say those memories happened, but this is not the reality of the situation.
Yep. Amen to that. You can do it.
And we wish you the best.
There's no reason to stay together. It's hard. It's definitely hard, but it's brighter on the other side, because when you're being disrespected, that energy is just taking its toll.
Whether if you don't have a job, to get a job and start planning financially and tucking money away so that you can be on your own. When you get to the point where you're independent, it will be the best feeling in the world, and you will not miss this piece of shit.
Mm-hmm. Amen. All right. Well, on that note, you know, I feel like the theme of this episode was you is strong.
You is
kind. You is important. And I didn't know what those were, but you did. I was going to say, I was going to say kind, smart, and beautiful, but I think that's it.
That too.
You know, you got this. Whatever you're going through, you got this. The harder it is to get over, the better the reward on the other side. And I feel like we've really feel really connected to you today. So
I finally feel like a big sister.
I wasn't talking to you.
No, I was talking to the audience.
Oh.
I was saying I finally feel like someone's big sister because I don't have a little sister to give advice to.
Oh, okay. Whatever. Anyway, I hope everybody has a great day, and thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you I'll hear you'll hear me next week.
Don't forget, you can still send in your vote to make me co-host.
You can do it for free.